how do we get a proposal that goes from will you support me to will you be my long-term partner? The first thing as a nonprofit you have to do is to go from what you do to why you do it. In other words, once we get into the nonprofit, once we're there for a couple of years, oh my gosh, you get so loaded down. We have this program and that program, and this is how we do this and this. And I say, wait a minute, whoa, 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 okay. You're running a shelter for abused women and children. And the question is why? Now you say, well, it's obvious. No, it's obvious that's a need. What's not obvious is why you're doing it. I want to feel this from you. I want to know what you're up to. I also want to know, are you a rescue charity? In other words, you're there to provide comfort and support? Or are you a root cause charity, one that's trying to get at the root cause to eradicate and eliminate? Now, both are all right. Both are fine. Because when you find a hero brand, they're into rescuing. But when you find a magician brand, they're more into how do we transform this situation. So if you go with a message that we're just in the rescue business, and you're dealing with a brand that wants transformation, like the first thing a Sage brand would say if you were running a shelter is, what kind of education do you provide these women? How do you teach them? If you're going to magician brand, they would say, how do you transform these women? I mean, if they're insecure and unwilling to, and afraid to go out on their own, or they don't know how to speak up for themselves, or they don't know how to select appropriate partners, how are you going to transform them? What are you going to do? So you see what I'm saying? So FedEx might love your rescue, but Apple may not. So why do you do what you do? And the first thing you do in a presentation is you appeal to their identity. In other words, you find ways, mostly through storytelling, of your successes where they can say, well, you're just like us. Yeah, you see the world just like us. Because when you're inside this archetype, there's only one way you see the world. It's the only way that makes sense to you. If you're a hero brand and you're doing whatever you need to do to save the day, that's the way you look at the world. If you're a Sage brand and you think you can solve the world through education, if everybody just knew they'd do differently, that's the whole way you see the world. So once you figure out what your major strategy is, you try to identify these companies that see the world the same way you, and you appeal to their identity. Then you appeal to what's in it for them. What's in it for them? Remember those goals that they had? We want brand reputation. Well, because you're both aligned, you're probably going to build brand reputation. But what specifically, how are you going to communicate with their employees? One of the most important things that a charity should do when they go into an organization is request, if not insist, that if this works out, that you want to make appeals to their employees on a regular basis. The most successful charitable partnerships with organizations have employee withholding from paycheck to go into the charity every month. And they have a place on their intranet. And it's a total part of the organization. Because if everybody in the organization is part of, let's say, a hero brand, they want to participate in whatever you're doing to save the day. Because just like me, it's just like our company, it all makes sense. So Federal Express flies more relief supplies to more places in the world than virtually any other air carrier. They have warehouses where they have medical supplies and food all over the world so that they can be first responders. They've been doing this for almost 20 years. Awesome. Right? So you want to go save people? I don't care if it's saving whales, saving anything. You need to talk to a company like Federal Express because that's what they're into. Now, if they're into it, all their employees want to be into it with what you're doing. So how do I, not just from information, how are they going to volunteer? How are you going to get them involved in leadership programs and initiatives that you're doing that really engage them so that the line between your charity and that brand becomes so blurred that you're absolutely united? So employees, executives, spouses, they're all saying, this is exactly what we should be doing. I think the people at FedEx are really proud when there's a tsunami or a hurricane or an earthquake, and they know when they see those supplies on TV that it was their planes that got them there. You know, their chests are out so high that you have to lock them in the trucks.